Made in America. You just don't hear that much nowadays, especially in the loudspeaker market. But there is one, and that's the company we're going to be talking about today, made right here in the US of A. Now, some of you may not really care that Eminence drivers are made in Eminence, Kentucky, but you probably should. Now, it's not because of the economic impact of the US-based company, but it's because of its standards and materials. Now, it's no surprise that some countries that are famous for manufacturing, can get a bad name. That doesn't mean all manufacturers are bad, but their tolerances, there's concerns that can impact how a speaker driver can and will perform. And this is something that the founder of Eminence, Bob Galt, wanted to get rid of. In fact, according to those close to him, Bob wasn't really passionate about music as much as he was about making things. You see, his passion resided in figuring out problems and how to produce products efficiently while maintaining consistent quality. Now, we're going to see just how well they do that in just a little bit. But before we go there, let's talk about why Made in the USA is so important. Everything that makes up the sound quality of an Eminence driver is made right here in America. That means the spiders, the cones, the dust caps, and all of that is made right here. And those are manufactured to Eminence's standards within their consistent quality. Now, not only is that important, but they specialize in paper cones. Now, this allows them to use mature American trees. Now, it's rare for a manufacturer to have access to mature trees, which gives Eminence drivers just a little bit different sound signature than what you'll receive from other paper cones. Now, I don't want you to think everything from an Eminence driver is made in America. It isn't, just about 95% of it. Typically, they do buy their magnets from another country. However, those who know about driver manufacturing know that a magnet, it's just that, it's a magnet. As long as it's within its tolerances, it's going to perform just fine. But before we take a look at exactly how well they perform, there's one other thing that I think separates Eminence from other manufacturers. And that's McJerry, aka Jerry McNutt. Now, I met Jerry at Parts Express Midwest Audio Fest. He's there every year. In fact, he's one of the judges of speaker competitions. And he's actually the one that sent me these Eminence drivers for review. He is the product design manager, and he does something that I wish every manufacturer would do. Whenever you go to Parts Express website and click on an Eminence driver, you're going to see an extra PDF. That PDF is labeled Cabinet Design. Now, Jerry has gone through each driver and gives you the internal volume of the box and even the size of the port with the projected response. He even goes further to tell you on what it is typically used for and the max power for that alignment. It really takes any guesswork out of it. This is not only helpful for newbies getting into the hobby, but it's also nice to easily check to see if a driver is going to work within your project parameters without having to simulate each and every one you are considering. That gets tiresome. But this only works if Eminence's tolerances are good. So how exactly did they perform? Well, this is a question that really everyone wants to know, because it really doesn't matter if a company claims great tolerances and good sound if they can't back it up. Now, one way to check this out is just by testing the frequency response. Now, before I show you this test, I do want to remind you that these are just two drivers. They're actually the Eminence Beta 10CXs that were sent to me from Eminence. These drivers, they just took off the shelf and sent me two random drivers. Now, you will see there's no smoothing going on here. This is just a raw test to see how close the response is to each other. So it might look a little more jagged than you're used to, but we really don't care about that. What we really care about is how closely each driver resembles each other. Now, with that in mind, let's take a look at the test. Honestly, this is as close to a matched pair as I've ever received. If you're not familiar with what a matched pair is, it's literally two drivers that a manufacturer has tested to make sure they're closely matched. They are typically more expensive and have been tested beforehand by the manufacturer to be what they claim a matched pair is. And of course, because of that, they're going to be sold as a pair together. The crazy thing is, Eminence didn't do this. Like I said earlier, they just sent me two drivers they took off their shelves. you see very little deviation, but nothing that would actually be audible in an audible band. Honestly, this is the best performing pair of drivers I've ever received from any manufacturer. And that's saying a lot. I've had supposed matched pairs that don't test this good. Unfortunately, Bob Galt, the founder of Eminence that preached consistency, is no longer alive. However, I do believe that Eminence is doing him proud with continuing his vision. And although this is a very limited sample, I couldn't be happier with the results. Now that we know the quality is top notch, you're probably wondering what type of drivers they actually manufacture. Honestly, they make just about everything. I guess that's what happens when you are a company that is around for over 50 years. Eminence was founded in 1966, however they sold directly OEM until 1999. That's why it isn't uncommon to find Eminence drivers at concerts and movie theaters or even churches. Their drivers are literally everywhere. In fact, I bought some old speakers designed for an organ, opened them up just to find a 15-inch Eminence driver in it. A not so known fact is the new MSG Sphere going up in Las Vegas, known as the world's most advanced venue, will be using thousands of Eminence drivers, which means that Eminence drivers are a lot more prevalent than you would think. Having said that, most of their drivers are geared towards the pro audio market. That makes them high efficiency and great use for PA work as well as home theater. They even have some unique drivers that are designed for guitar and bass amplifiers, as well as some unique woofers which allow you to attach a compression driver to the rear of it to make it into a coaxial. Perfect for home theater surround or even floor wedges. Finally, they created their new TechStream compression driver. Now, I haven't personally heard this, but from those that have, they say it's the best sounding compressor driver they have ever heard. And with that comes a pretty high price. But if you're really interested in building a hi-fi build with no compromises, that could be a compression driver that you'd want to look into. Truthfully, Eminence is always making new drivers and of course still selling OEM. So if you're starting a company and you want specialty products, well, they can do that for you. I think by now it's pretty obvious that Eminence blew away my expectations. I always knew that they were a good company, but they rarely get much attention. And with the results that I got from these, I think more DIYers should be looking to see if Eminence drivers fit their project goals. If they do, I would give them a shot. Now I'm going to be building some really cool rear surrounds with the Eminence Beta 10CXs I got, and we'll make sure to give you an honest assessment of them. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to do so and ring that bell to get instant notification when that video goes up. Now you've just watched Toyd's DIY Audio, and I'm out.